breaking news from Larry's Old Time Trade Days in Winnie, Texas. Here's Larry Barron, owner of Larry's Old Time Trade Days.
So come on, tell the people to just please come out while the sun's shining in May, not like April, okay? But let me tell you what's going on, okay? We're coming back, we're starting our season off, and we want you to come out and visit with us. Our friends from Louisiana that got hammered by the hurricanes, please come back over, we miss y'all.
Sounds like a plan. We'll see you next weekend in Winnie, Texas. While you're there, pick up a copy of Sergeant Bill Davis's new book. Bill Davis is a 36-year veteran of the Beaumont Police Department and a 42-year veteran law enforcement officer. He honorably retired from the department back in 2008. During his 30 years as a sergeant, he spent 20 years with the Juvenile Division and the Sex Crimes Unit, specializing in child abuse and sex crimes investigations, and investigated over 7,000 child abuse and/or sex crime incidents. As an internationally recognized motivational speaker and consultant, Sergeant Davis has conducted lectures and workshops on the awareness, prevention, and intervention of child abuse, sex crimes, and on safety throughout the U.S. and abroad to over 300,000 people.
Well, I've only worked on it for 25 years, but I finally completed it. And now that we've been trying to publish it, we've run into lots of obstacles, but I think we've overcome all of them. And it should be out and debut here at Larry's Old Time Trade Days in the month of May. Probably that Saturday at about 10 a.m. or maybe 9 if some people want it before then. But it starts out with January the 7th, 1984 at 7:05 a.m. when at a distance of about 8 feet, I had my back turned to a guy and he shot me with a 12-gauge shotgun. And I shouldn't be here. But this whole book, even though it's a memoir about my life, it's not about me at all. It's about how God has worked through me and my investigations, and especially the programs that I present to save children's lives and even those of adults as well. And so I'm very excited about it, that it's hopefully going to, well, maybe bring some folks a little closer to God or look into their own lives and see how He's worked for them. And so I'm very excited that it is coming out. I think it's going to be extremely successful, because in this day and time, you know, we see negative stuff all the time. And now we're fixing to see some positivity through this book.
This isn't the first book that Bill has had published.
This is my third book. The first one, I had some folks come by here a while ago, and I always ask them, do you know where this little girl was kidnapped from? And they'll go, no, where? The trade show you're standing in, Larry's Old Time Trade Days. But when it began at Beaumont, where Academy sits right now. So I tell people all the time, if you go into Academy shopping, you're walking on the ground where this little girl was kidnapped, who should have never been found, he should have never been caught. But again, very miraculous things, literally divine intervention, allowed this little girl who should have never been found to be found in 5 hours. And he got away with so much stuff for years and years. He figured he would never get caught, and I handcuffed him in 40 hours. Thanks to a lot of work from a lot of law enforcement officers from multiple agencies, we were able to catch him in 40 hours.
When you're at Larry's Old Time Trade Days next weekend, stop by Sergeant Bill Davis's table in the covered midway, grab a copy of his new book, and tell him Jim King of the TV and radio sent you.
King of the Road.
Here comes this week's Honky Tonk Texas Fabulous Flashback.
Zach Lyons, it's an honor to meet you, sir.
Nice to meet you too.
We're just talking to Larry Barron, the owner of Larry's Old Time Trade Days, about Zach Lyons. You made quite a find here with that spoon that was actually hand-carved by an Indian from 100 years ago or so?
Yes, sir. Chief John Robson.
Little is known about John Robson until the late 1860s when he succeeded his uncle as chief of an Indian tribe in Canada. Robson was a noted carver of totem poles from the late 1860s until the custom of raising large poles fell into disfavor around 1885. He also carved a number of silver spoons, like the ones featured here in this sketchbook, hand-drawn by Chief John Robson in the late 1880s.
And like in the corner of the book, that spoon's right there.
Do you have any idea what the spoon is worth?
Right now it's kind of priceless. It hasn't been appraised yet.
What was your feeling about winning this $10,000 scholarship from American Pickers, the Kid Pickers program?
I was very excited.
You were kind of on a sugar high for a while about that, huh?
Yes, sir.
Probably still are. It's quite an accomplishment.
Yes, sir.
Now, you're 11 years old. How long have you been doing this picking?
I've been doing this ever since probably I was like maybe 6 or 7, around that age.
King of the Road.
That was this week's Honky Tonk Texas Fabulous Flashback. Since 2008, Honky Tonk Texas and Silsbee, Texas has featured a steady stream of the very best in local, regional, and national touring bands. Pack up your posse and boot scoot over to Honky Tonk Texas for great concerts, dancing, drinking, and dining. Of course, steak night is every Thursday, and don't forget about the Honky Tonk Grill. Visit them online at facebook.com/honkytonktx and at honkytonktexas.us. Honky Tonk Texas and Silsbee has been entertaining Southeast Texas since 2008. Where have you been?